Should you traverse the cool hills of St. Anne's, Market Street to be exact, you'd find there the home, or rather the birthplace, of a Jamaican whose message has traveled further than any other man in Jamaica's history. This man has influenced presidents, freedom fighters, civil rights activists, Pan-Africanists, African independent movements, and even the local Rastafari community here in Jamaica. But during his lifetime, many would consider him dangerous. Some say he was a visionary. Others even said he was a dreamer. But let's examine on today's episode of Questions, was Marcus Mosiah Garvey the most influential Jamaican ever? Remember, we don't recreate, rewrite, nor do we reimagine history. We simply ask the questions that tells a cinematic documentary. On today's episode of Questions, the first question we ask is the what, the where, when did it happen, and why is it important to us today? So journey as we uncover. Marcus Mosiah Garvey was born on August 17, 1887 in St. Anne's Bay. Growing up in colonial Jamaica, Garvey witnessed poverty, racial discrimination, and economic inequality. These experiences would shape his worldwide view. In 1914, he founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association in Jamaica. His mission was very simple but revolutionary: to unite the people of African descent worldwide. Within a short decade, Garvey's movement became one of the largest mass movements in Black history. The UNIA spread across the Caribbean, the entire United States, Central America, Africa, and Europe. In its peak, the movement claimed millions of supporters. Garvey argued that Black people should control their own economic future, build their own institutions, and take pride in African heritage. Today, his ideas continue to influence Pan-Africanism, Black nationalism, economic self-reliance, African independence movement, the Rastafari community and their philosophy. His influence can be found from Kingston to Ghana, from New York, Ethiopia, and beyond, from Jamaica to South Africa and back. This man was truly powerful in his message across Costa Rica, Colombia, and the entire world. So, we saw where His Right Honorable Sir Marcus Mosiah Garvey was born in St. Anne's Bay, 1887. We saw where he formed the UNIA in 1914, one of the largest black movements across the earth. We also saw where he championed the movement for black unity, self-determination, self-actualization. But now that we have examined question 1, let's move on to question 2. What is the background of the struggle and its most important players? So journey as we uncover. To understand Marcus Mosiah Garvey, we must understand the world he inherited. The late 19th century was the height of European colonialism. Much of Africa was controlled by foreign empires. Segregation and discrimination affected black communities throughout Americas. Opportunities were limited. Political representation was rare. Economic power was concentrated elsewhere. Marcus Mosiah Garvey believed the problem was not simply political. He believed it was psychological. Black people had been taught to see themselves through the eyes of other races. Garvey's philosophy sought to reverse that process. The major players included Marcus Garvey, Amy Ashwood Garvey, Amy Jakes Garvey, the UNI organizers, colonial governments, and black intellectuals throughout the diaspora. Amy Jakes Garvey became one of the most famous movements and the most important voices. After Garvey's imprisonment and later years, she preserved and promoted much of his work. Without her efforts, many of Garvey's writing might have been lost. Their son, Marcus Garvey Jr., later became one of the strongest defenders of his father's legacy, becoming a doctor himself, helping educate the future generations about Garvey's philosophy and achievements. Engaging the elders in Market Street, St. Anne's Bay, they had different stories of what contributed to the change of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Some say it was the fact that he was punished harshly as a child by his father, who used those methods to teach him discipline. Others say it was the fact that he was separated from his childhood friend, a white girl by the name of Mary. But whatever the situation was, we know that colonialism had definitely attributed to the change in Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We also saw that Amy Jakes Garvey preserved his legacy, and Dr. Marcus Garvey Jr. promoted his legacy. Garveyism became international. And it became a struggle that united Black people to fight against colonialism worldwide. But now that we have answered question 2, let's delve into question 3. What escalated the movement and why it became so influential worldwide? The journey as we examine. Garvey understood something revolutionary. Political freedom without economic power was incomplete. This idea became the engine of his movement. He encouraged Black businesses, Black newspaper, Black shipping, Black investment, and Black ownership. The most famous example was the Black Star Liner. The company was designed to connect Black communities throughout the entire world through shipping and trade. Supporters purchased shares. Communities invested. Crowds filled Garvey's speeches. They were intoxicated by the man. The movement exploded in popularity. But success also created oppositions. Governments watched carefully. Political rivals criticized them. The Black Star Line faced financial difficulties and management problems. Eventually, legal troubles followed suit. Yet, even as institutions struggled, the philosophy of Marcus Garvey continued to balloon into spaces and stratospheres that were previously thought unimaginable. The movement had become larger than any single company. If you're a fan of the local reggae dancehall scene in Jamaica, you'll probably hear it in a lot of songs. Repatriation is a must. Africa for Africans. But it was Marcus Mosiah Garvey who was the first Jamaican to tie economics to freedom. The Black Star Liner became his most important project. But now that we have examined question 3, let's delve into question 4. What is the key moments, decisions, and turning point? Journey. Several key moments transformed Marcus Garvey from activist into legend. First came the rapid growth of the UNIA, and then came the Black Star Line, and then came his international conventions, attracting thousands of supporters. Perhaps the most important turning point was Garvey's message. Up, up, you mighty race. For many Black communities, this was the first time they heard a global leader promoting a racial pride and self confidence on such a scale. Another turning point came after his imprisonment. Many assumed the movement would disappear. Instead, imitates Garvey and other supporters continued spreading his ideas. Decades later, leaders such as Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, Malcolm X would acknowledge Garvey's influence. His ideas cross many oceans and generations. In summary, we saw the radical expansion of the UNIA. The Black Star Line became an influential movement. Even though Garvey was imprisoned, that didn't dent or even stop his movement. We saw where many leaders across the world took on to his message and ideas, and most importantly, his philosophies. Now that we have answered question 4, let's delve into question 5. What is the political, economic, and human consequences of Marcus Garvey's philosophy? Journey as we find out. Let's uncover together. Politically, Garvey helped inspire independence movement throughout Africa and the Caribbean. Economically, he promoted ownership, entrepreneurship, and financial independence. Socially, he encouraged millions to reject the feelings of inferiority. Culturally, his teaching helped influence the development of the local Rastafari community. Many early Rastafarians viewed the coronation of Haile Selassie I as a direct connection to Garvey's vision of African pride and redemption. Perhaps Garvey's greatest achievement was psychological. He convinced millions that they could define themselves. Black was beautiful, not through colonial governments, not through foreign powers, but through their own identity, history, potential, and black lineage. Today, statues stand in his honor. Schools bear his name. Countries celebrate his legacy. Yet, perhaps his greatest monument is not made of stone. It is the confidence he helped inspire in generations of young black people across the globe. In summary, we saw where Garvey's influence was political, inspired the independence movement across Africa and Pan-African leaders. His impact was also economic. He promoted black businesses, black ownership, encouraged self-reliance. His impact was human, inspired pride and confidence. He changed how billions of black people around the world view themselves. His impact was also cultural. influenced the Rastafaris and the Pan African thoughts, remain one of Jamaica's most influential global figure. So, was Marcus Garvey the most influential Jamaica who ever lived? Few Jamaicans have inspired movements across continents. Few Jamaicans have influenced presidents, revolutionaries, activists, and religious movements in the same breath at the same time. Few Jamaicans have left a legacy that still echoes more than a century later. Whether one agrees with all of his ideas or not, Marcus Garvey did more than change Jamaica. He helped change it in a way that millions of people saw themselves as black and beautiful. And that maybe the most powerful revolution of all. Self-confidence and unity. Now, if you have reached this far in the video, it will mean that you or someone you know is interested in these types of videos. Please leave a like, a share, subscribe, or leave a comment. And do join us again for another episode of Questions History. What would